Hey cats, it's Ed Midsole Bud here. I'm absolutely loving the Takumi Sen 10 from Adidas. I picked it up on release and it's hitting the spot for those speed sessions, intervals and repeats. But I'm also finding it's a darn good, nice and light daily shoe too. Today I've got some in-depth comparisons for you of this lower stack super shoe up against the SC Pacer from New Balance, the PUMA Liberate Nitro 2 and the Vaporfly 3. Let's examine this three-stripe shoe up against some of the contenders. Thanks for tuning in, people. It's always appreciated. Do hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up like. It really does help out. Dankeschön. Today I've got some in-depth comparisons for you up against the Takumi Sen 10. Really enjoying this iteration of the shoe. They've refined everything on here. First up against the SC Pacer from New Balance. This one got absolutely mauled on one session last year sometime, and I just can't get it any cleaner than this. The lack of stack on this one is absolutely apparent when you compare it up against the Takumi Sen 10. 32mm of stack in the heel and about 25mm in the forefoot. I find that Light Strike Pro foam that's in the Takumi Sen 10 a lot more resilient, just a bit more forgiving, I suppose. I know that New Balance are adjusting the fuel cell foam in the SC Pacer 2. It's a total overhaul really from this shoe, but I mean Adidas were already there with the Sen 8 that already had a little bit more heel stack. Messed around too much really with the Sen series over the last 3 iterations. I think it's taken New Balance a little bit of time to get the fuel cell formula just right. I think they went a little bit too soft from the onset. Things seem to be getting a little bit firmer there. Comparing up the two shoes, I do feel the Adidas shoe does benefit from that slightly firmer material underfoot, just a little bit more stable and consistent. I think they just carved out too much fuel cell material from the heel section of the shoe, just kind of crumples and falls away a little bit, and the Adidas shoe just benefits from a glove-like fit, super resilient foam and a really great outsole setup too. Grip and traction just far better than what we get on the SC Pacer. I think in every way pretty much the Sen 10's a big improvement over this shoe, and that even goes for the weight of this one. I can't quite believe that it's actually that bit lighter than the SC Pacer. I think it's probably down to the fact they've used those energy rods here rather than like a plate setup. The rods provide enough rigidity there for some really good toe-off propulsion. The plate here in the SC Pacer just felt a little bit too rigid, I suppose. Almost felt like you were running directly on the plate. Just makes the shoe overtly firm and adds a little bit of weight that's missing in the Sen 10. When you consider that you got 4mm of extra heel stack as well here in the midsole of the Sen 10, and there's about 5mm extra in the forefoot too, really does make this one a super shoe, and this one not quite a super shoe. No idea why New Balance carried on persisting with the lack of eyelets here on the upper. Really made it quite hard to lock the shoe down on foot. So absolutely no competition here. I'd grab the Sen 10 over the SC Pacer any day. What we got next? Up against the Liberate Nitro 2 from Puma this time. I was super excited to test this shoe out when it arrived on the scene, but I think the extra weight and the more considerable upper on this shoe versus the V1 has perhaps made it fly under the radar a little bit. Certainly key difference here between this and the Sen 10 is price. Liberate Nitro is a very, very simple shoe, no bells and whistles here, just relying on a slab of that nitro foam to provide your cushion. It's resilient yet very, very responsive. There's about ½ ounce of extra weight here, around about 15 grams, and there's a really nice scraping of that Puma grip outsole rubber here to provide some traction. High octane model really for those shorter sessions or perhaps some repeats and intervals. You could use this one on the track too without too many problems. Very similar ankle designs on this and the Sen 10, no heel counter whatsoever, and then some padding around the actual heel area. When you think about it, two shoes aren't actually that different, but I do prefer that Light Strike Pro material this time round, though it does come at a heavy price. I do think the Sen 10 has got a little bit more pop to it than the Liberate Nitro 2. I mean, effectively that shoe is a cut down version of the Adios Pro 3 now, really, like a feather light version of the 3-stripe marathon shoe. Perhaps if that Adios Pro 3 was a little bit too much there in terms of cushion for you, I think the diminished weight in the Takumi Sen 10 makes for a good middle ground there. Just feels a little bit more nimble over the Puma offering this time around, although the grip is on par there with that sticky rubber stuff we've got in the forefoot on the Sen 10. Again, deal breaker is the price. You can currently pick this one up for about about 56 quid here in the UK, which makes it an absolute steal. That's quite the discount over the 170 retail that we have for the Sen 10. It does make you realise the huge markup that we do get on running shoes right now, especially in the UK. Like I remember, like 180 quid was like a princely sum for the Vaporfly 4% when Nike first put that out. Now that's the price of like a high-end training shoe. You can't even buy the Super Blast for that. So good budget model, the Liberate Nitro 2 for your track and speed sessions, though perhaps maybe lacking in cushion for all but the lightest framed runners. But if you're on a budget, I think it can do a great job for you. Up against the Vaporfly 3 now from Nike. People might suggest to me that the stack's just too high here, Ed, to compare this one against the Sen 10, but I have found you can pick this shoe up on discount for about £175 now, which is right around the same price range as the Adidas shoe. So is there any reason you should pick the Sen 10 up over the Vaporfly 3? I do find the additional foam that you get in some of the super shoes can be a hindrance at times, almost too mushy to pound through if you're perhaps running those shorter events of like 5 or 10k. Perhaps even the lighter amongst us might find them too much for even a half marathon. The Vaporfly in reality is about the same weight as the Takumi Sen 10, but there's a good 6mm of extra heel stack, at least in my pair of the shoes anyway, and the drop is just that bit more aggressive. Durability, in fairness, has actually been very good on the Vaporfly 3 for me, but 100 miles on this pair and I've got no pieces falling off. The grip in the forefoot's still pretty decent, although I think the weight improvement, if we're looking at the scales, is mainly in the upper of the shoe. It's almost like a net really rather than a mesh here in the Vaporfly, and it's quite a bit denser here in the toe box area of the Sen 10. I do prefer the rubber in the Sen 10, it's just a little bit more sticky, the traction's that bit better, the grip's more assured in wet conditions. I think it was the second run I took these out in, it was absolutely lashing it down and I was going around some corners and they felt really assured. I do like the Vaporfly 3, I have to say. I just wish the upper was a little bit more nuanced, I suppose. The Sen 10 does fit me like a glove, it is fantastic. I would suggest that both shoes are geared up towards a normal to narrow foot width. Neither are going to work for you if you have a wider set of trotters, and neither of these two shoes are really geared up for the heavier set runners either. The foam's just perhaps a little bit too compressive in some of the super shoes, which I think is why some people do err on the Alphafly. Those AirPods are a little bit more resilient. I think if you can load those AirPods a bit more, they just provide you with a bit more energy return. So if I had to have one or the other, I'd probably still err towards the Takumi Sen 10. I don't have to cinch those laces quite so hard to get a good fit. And these just didn't feel quite as magical as the Next Percent or the Next Percent 2. Certainly not as magical as the Vaporfly 4% Flyknit. So that's all my close competitor comparisons for today against the Takumi Sen 10 from Adidas. Certainly already in the running for shoe of the year for me. I know it's only January, but it's an absolute banger. Highly recommend this one. Have you picked up a pair or are you thinking about grabbing some in the near future? Let me know your thoughts and opinions on today's comparisons down in the comments. Bit of a strange musical interlude for you today. I've recently been watching my A-Team box set. Just reminded me just how superb the music was, even some of the incidental music within each of the episodes. The title track is fantastic too. You got just about everything in there. Reminds me a little bit of like a John Miles record. We've got sort of like a country rock section, then a big sort of almost army band style delivery. There's some killer guitar licks in there as well, some really nice tones. Wonderful string section in there as well. Everything just glues together and sounds so right, yet there's so many different elements there to take in. Maybe it's nostalgia, you know, of watching it when I was a kid, but yeah, the A-Team still rocks. I mean, the stories are absolutely bonkers, but yeah, who cares? You know, it's good entertainment at the end of the day. Go and check it out, the A-Team theme tune. Just go and buy the box set and watch it, it's brilliant. Jeeps flying through the air, just stay away from that milk. Thanks for tuning in, people. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up like, it really helps out. My name's Eddbud and I'll be seeing you